If you're looking at Reno from the Bay Area, LA, or Sacramento, somebody's probably told you to take a look at Somersett. But that recommendation is almost useless because Somersett is not a neighborhood. It's literally 5 all wearing the same name tag. You have a retiree with a single story and no stairs. You have another family who's paying $800,000, has a 3-car garage, and a lovely view of the freeway sound wall. And then there's a guy behind a gate with a refrigerator larger than his first apartment. All 3 will tell you with a great deal of confidence that they all live in Somersett. But none of them are living the same life. But by the end of this video, you'll know which one of the 5 is right for you, and your budget, your lifestyle, and your tolerance for HOA docs, including the weather. And you won't end up being that person standing in a $2 million home in 18 months from now wondering why it feels wrong. So today we find out which one of the Somersets you're buying, because the wrong one at the right price is still the wrong one. Hi, I'm Chris Rayner and I'm licensed in California and Nevada. I've been selling real estate for over 2 decades and I made this exact same move back in 2015. And look, if you're the person that will actually sit and watch a 15-minute video on a single master planned community, you're already my kind of people. So hit like and subscribe because every week I put videos like this out about what it's like to work, live, and play in Reno. But back to Somersett, because here's something that almost nobody tells the relocating buyers. It's high. Downtown Reno sits at about 4,500 feet in elevation, with the base of Somersett sitting right at about 5,000 feet. And the golf club there sits at about 5,200 feet in elevation. And some of the highest lots in the community actually sit closer to 5,500 feet. That's not trivia, that's weather. I've stood in lower Reno and watched it rain on me while 3 miles up the road in Somersett, they're literally getting snow. So when somebody tells me it's only 15 minutes away, sure, geographically speaking, that's true. However, nobody bothered to tell the mountain that. So if you decide that Somerset's a place that you want to buy, that gorgeous sloped driveway looks amazing in those June listing photos. However, in January, they're literally trying out for the Olympic bobsled team.
Yeah, that's a slippery slope.
So you're going to literally want to know which direction it faces, how steep it is, and where the shade sits. That's because north-facing driveways in Somerset can hold ice for weeks after the south-facing ones down the street completely melted off. And nobody puts seasonal lunge course in the listing remarks, so I will. It's the same story with the winds because Somerset ridgelines can catch it. Not every lot, because some of the topology does shield some of the lots while others are completely exposed. So whatever you do, don't fall for that house on a calm Saturday afternoon. Come back on a windy day and see if you really like that backyard still. So that's the trade-off for the view. On certain lots, in certain months, that view comes with a 50-mile-an-hour opinion from the sky. But I have one more Somerset quirk before we move on, and that's roundabouts, because Somerset has a lot of them. You're going to either master these in about 2 weeks, or you're going to sit at an empty one contemplating all of your decisions. And I'll tell you, both drivers live there. I've sold to both of them. But now let's talk about the unglamorous part with HOAs and insurance. Somerset does have a Master Homeowners Association. Some pockets like Sierra Canyon, for example, carry an additional association layer on top of that. You can't look at one Somerset listing HOA number and assume it applies to the one down the street, because it doesn't. So, quick question. So when I said HOA, did your stomach tighten a little? Good. That means you're listening. Here's the number that actually matters, not just the feeling. In Somerset on resales, they have charged historically a capital contribution fee of 1% of the sales price. So on a $1 million home, that equates to $10,000. On a $2 million home, that equates to $20,000. It won't break you, But I'd rather you hear it from me now than from your escrow officer while you're signing 90 pages of your closing docs wondering what else nobody mentioned. And here's a part that I do take very serious, and that's because Somersett does sit adjacent to open foothill vegetation. Wildfire exposure is a real conversation and not just a footnote. So before you get too deep into your contract, I want you to make sure that you have a solid quote from your insurance agent. I also want you thinking about defensible space, roofing material, and evacuation routes the same way you think about square footage. The mountain lifestyle is fantastic. Mountains occasionally do send the bill though. Now, everybody does equate Somersett with golf, and that's fair. But there are two completely different golf experiences here, and buyers regularly confuse them. I had a client last year write on their to-do and must-have list golf, and that was all before we even spoke. They assumed that house came with a country club golf membership, and it didn't. The private championship course is a completely separate membership, and the community's other course, the shorter 9, is a different amenity altogether. And the golf course lot fantasy is beautiful right up until a Tuesday foursome plays right through your landscaping. Nobody really mentions that through the walkthrough. So when somebody tells you golf comes with the house, my answer is always the same. Which golf? Get the clarity or get surprised? So here's the part that actually answers the question that you came with. Which Somersett are you buying? Somersett 1 is the Sierra Canyon. That's the 55 plus Del Webb built section. It has single stories, its own clubhouse, its own additional association fee stacked on top of Somersett's. It's a great fit if stairs aren't the hobby that you enjoy anymore. Almost every retiree tells me that they're fine with stairs. I simply ask back, are you still going to be fine with them when you're 75? That question usually ends the conversation right there, and all of a sudden the single story starts looking a lot more appealing. Then there's Somersett 2, the Village. Compact, roughly 1,500 to a little over 2,000 square feet, alley-loaded garages, and walkable to the town center. The buyer isn't buying a pickleball court for the backyard. The buyer here wants to lock the front door and be in Tahoe before the garage door finishes closing. Somersett 3 is the mainstream move-up buyer. Think the view in similar neighborhoods. You're going to end up in the upper 700,000s to about $1 million. You're going to end up with a 3-car garage, 4 bedrooms, and a decent commute straight to the freeway. This is where most of my relocating families actually end up buying. Nobody here is raising alpacas, and nobody's actually trying to. Somersett 4 is Versante or Ventana. These are gated, larger, and into the 7 figures. This is where a lot of sections stop being about preference and start being the entire point. Because at that price, I just don't care what is in the kitchen. I care about what you're looking at while you're standing in the kitchen. Somersett 5 is the cliffs and all the custom builds up above it. This is where you're going to find Toll Brothers luxury, walk-out basements, Sierra views, and you're going to be at the very top. You're going to find fully custom homes pushing past $2 million. And this is the tier where the garage stops being about a couple of cars and starts being all about the collection. Market data lists roughly starting at about $600,000 on the entry side to over $3.5 million across the community as of August 2026. And here's the honest aspect about this. The most expensive lot isn't necessarily the nicest. I've literally taken clients away from the golf frontage lots, the cart paths, the early morning mower noise, and the zero backyard privacy, and I've put them on a plainer lot with a real permanent view of the corridor instead. The listing photos don't show you that trade, but I will. So you have 5 names, same HOA, but completely different lives. That's not a flaw in Somersett. That's the whole point, if you know which one you're standing in. So Somersett isn't just a neighborhood. It's 5 neighborhoods wearing one name tag. That part hasn't changed since the first thing that I told you. What has changed is now you know which one is which. The single-story 55-plus community, the lock and leave it village, the mainstream family move-up, the gated 7-figure section, and the Hillside custom estates. The wrong one at the right price is still the wrong one. But the right one with the right driveway orientation, the right lot behind it, the right HOA layer, and the real answer to which golf can be one of the best decisions you'll make in Reno. But if you want some help figuring out which one of the Somersett areas is best for your life, or even which neighborhood inside of Reno will fit you, that's the entire conversation we have on our strategic sessions. It's not a sales pitch, just the trade-offs answered honestly to you before you spend your money to find out the hard way. Either scan the QR code on your screen or go to www.meetwithchris.com. So about those roundabouts, are you the confident roundabout driver or the one sitting alone at the empty one contemplating your decisions? Be honest, leave your answer below in the comments. I'm Chris Reno, your go-to realtor for all things Reno. We'll see you on the next one.